5 years ago, I sat down at this very microphone. Well, not this very microphone, but one very much like it. Actually, the microphone I started with was already a decade old when I started this particular podcast. It's 15 years old now. I still have it somewhere around here in a box. But I sat down at the microphone nervous and uncertain. But I sat down at the microphone determined to help entrepreneurs succeed. What started as a simple podcast about entrepreneurship has transformed into something I never expected. After 150 plus interviews, countless pivots, and quite a few failures, I've discovered a true calling, helping parents turn limited time into limitless potential. And today, for the 500th episode, I'm pulling back the curtain on our journey from just another business podcast to becoming what I'll call the voice of parent digital entrepreneurs. And trust me, the lessons we learned along the way might just change how you view your entrepreneurial journey. So, my Dark Horse friends and family, you're going to want to keep listening.
Welcome to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur, where being a busy parent isn't your limitation. It is your superpower. Superpower. I'm Tracy Rittman, and this is not your typical hustle harder podcast. No. This is for busy parent entrepreneurs who refuse to choose between bedtime stories and business dreams. Every single episode delivers actionable strategies for turning your limited time into unlimited potential. From digital marketing and side hustles to online courses and passive income, we're here to help you build an empire between soccer practice and science projects. Because we Dark Horses, we do not wait for the perfect time, we create it.
What is up? What the hell is up, my Dark Horse friends and family? I can still remember recording episode 1 of this very podcast, sitting here, well, I was actually in a different house at the time, but sitting there trying to be everything to everyone, covering every type of business, every type of entrepreneur, and every possible strategy. Whew, ladies and gentlemen, it was exhausting. And let me tell you, I was casting the widest net possible, and you know what? I was catching very little. I'm serious. I'm deadly serious there. Here's where I think it gets a little bit interesting. I sat down week after week after week after month, interviewing entrepreneur after entrepreneur from all walks of life. Something fascinating started to happen, started to reveal itself. The episodes that resonated most were not the ones with the biggest names or the most impressive success stories. They were actually the ones where the guests talked about building their businesses in short blocks of time, between things like bedtimes and nap times and whatever it was they had going on in their world. They didn't have the time to do everything. So they had to do it strategically. They had to scale their side hustle during soccer practice or during lunchtime or during break time. That's when it started to hit me. We here at the Dark Horse Entrepreneur were not going to be just another business podcast, another entrepreneur podcast. We were becoming something much more specific and I think much more needed. Let me take you through our journey because I think it might mirror your own entrepreneurial path in so many ways. We started broad. We covered everything from brick and mortar shops to tech startups to new business processes. Here's the thing about being everything to everyone. You end up being nothing to anyone. Yeah, you're shouting into the void. And a few people may listen, but you're really not there. They're not really hearing you. From that came the first pivot. We narrowed our focus from entrepreneurs down to digital entrepreneurship, the online space, digital marketing, side hustles. It felt better, right? We started getting warmer. I'm starting to feel the vibe here, but something still wasn't quite right. It wasn't quite clicking yet. They weren't really engaging. They're like, yeah, you're onto something here, but I'm not sure I quite vibe with you. Then, ladies and gentlemen, something magical happened. It was after a few conversations and then one particular interview with a mom who had built a 6-figure course empire during her kids' nap times. And, I'm using that as a catchphrase. The DMs and the emails started to come in. Parents everywhere were starting to reach out and they were saying things like, oh, that's me. That right there is what I was looking for. There was the little light bulb moment. I realized our true audience wasn't just entrepreneurs, and they weren't even just digital entrepreneurs. It was those parents who wanted to build a digital business without sacrificing their family time. Parents who needed strategies that worked in the margins of their life. Hence, that's going to be in the name of my book coming out here soon, but we'll chat about that in a little bit. Parents who were tired of being told that they had to choose between their success and their family. And I guess the question kind of becomes, why does that matter so much? And I think it matters because traditional entrepreneurship advice doesn't work for all my hardworking parents out there. They can't just hustle harder and they can't just work more hours because they need smarter strategies. They need more effective systems and they need solutions that fit into their already chock full lives, right? Okay. So our audience, you, shaped everything from there. I mean this wholeheartedly. So many of you told us that you needed practical strategies, not just theory. I can go to any other podcast and hear all the amazing theories. You wanted solutions that could work at nap time, that don't need 12-hour workdays because your 12-hour workday is already full from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. easily. And then from 5 p.m. on with other things. You needed real talk about building businesses while still raising your families. And you know what? The moment we started to embrace that focus, everything changed. Our community grew stronger. Our impact, I think it went deeper. Our purpose became clearer. We weren't just teaching digital marketing or course creation or any of those other things. We were helping parents create freedom, helping parents create a legacy, both at the same time.
The Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
So, over these 500 episodes, we've been blessed to interview, over 150 incredible guests from Hollywood actors that turned digital entrepreneurs, Hollywood actors that turned painting entrepreneurs, corporate executives who left it all, and corporate executives that started their own corporations and still had a family-focused business. And some that didn't have a family-focused business. We weren't focused on that in the original days. But you know what's really fascinating? The most powerful lessons came from the parents like you who decided to defy the odds. Let me share a few stories that I think really shaped our direction in our redirection. Like episode 375, we talked about how to be successful by failing big. This is where we went into the 10 and a half ways that you're failing, all of which are things that you need to give up. These are things that folks out there learned that they had to stop doing. Right? This is where we learned you didn't need more time. You needed better systems. And often that means giving up some of the systems and some of the habits that you already are entrenched in because they're not designed for you. Or how about episode 442? We spent a little time on the intricate journey of achieving your goals, all while navigating the myriad of distractions that life is going to put in your way. That's if you're not a parent. Okay. Now, here's where the benefit of being on this side of the microphone really happens. And it gets interesting because as I was going through all these interviews and creating all these episodes, I could see the threads forming amongst all these entrepreneurs out there, the successful ones as well as the unsuccessful ones, parents or non-parents. And let me share some of these common threads with you. First, they all stopped waiting for perfect conditions. All right. They're not waiting for the universe to align or all the planets to be aligned, which has already happened and won't be happening again for a long, long time. Instead, they learn to use what we now call time pockets. Those moments of time that you have 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, 30 minutes there, right? Between your parental duties and those times where most people are wasting it doom scrolling on social media. No, our successful parent entrepreneurs and our successful entrepreneurs as a whole are out there getting shit done during those small time pockets. 2, they turned their parenting skills into business advantages. Now, and here's what I'm talking about. The same patience that you use to teach a toddler how to tie their shoes, that's exactly the same patience that you need to build an engaged online audience. And 3rd, and this one's critical, they built businesses that worked around their families, not forcing their families to work around their business. Ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't just the success stories that shaped this podcast and its direction. Some of our most valuable lessons came from failure stories, like a dad who tried to hide his parent life from his audience, right? Part of what shaped my previous podcast is the fact that I hid the failures that were going on in my life and I hung up my microphone for a couple of years. I shouldn't have. It hurt my credibility. I should have just said, ladies and gentlemen, I know I come in here and I give you all this great advice, but here's what's going on in my world. People would have resonated with that. I missed that opportunity. Just like the father I was just talking about. His business struggled until he started embracing his role as a parent entrepreneur. Or there's a mom who gave up just because she was trying to follow that traditional launch strategy that's out there and pumped out to everybody out there that requires like these 12-hour working days. When she switched to what we now call the nap time marketing method, everything changed. It started to work for her. It worked with her family life, not against it. These experiences fundamentally shaped the content I was creating. I stopped teaching generic digital marketing strategies and started creating frameworks specifically for the parents out there, specifically for my hardworking, busy entrepreneurial parents. For example, the stable framework that we just covered in the past 3 episodes, that came from listening to what parent entrepreneur actually needed, right? And any good entrepreneur, whether you're a parent entrepreneur or not, needs to listen to their audience. So I listened and I heard and I thought, what can we do? Okay, so now I've learned that parent entrepreneurs don't need different strategies. There's lots of great strategies out there, and some of them will work within your lifestyle. What you need is a different mindset. You need to realize you're not just building a business, you're creating a legacy while creating a family. And that unique challenge requires unique solutions. And you know what? The guests that I try to bring on, I don't bring them on to just share their stories. I bring them on to help create and share better solutions. Every framework, every strategy, every tip that I share on this podcast has been tested in one form or another in the real world of entrepreneurship, in the real world of parent entrepreneurship. Because at the end of the day, like I've heard you say, theory's nice, theory's great, theory's wonderful, but results with kids running around, yeah, that's what really matters. And I think what's really fascinating about looking back over 500 episodes, well, 499 plus this one, is seeing how the content that I've created has evolved from the generic hustle culture advice to what I like to call parent-powered strategies. Ladies and gentlemen, this evolution, it wasn't just about changing topics. I wanted it to change lives. And when I started, I think I was probably out there sharing the same advice everyone else was. Get up earlier, work harder, work longer, right? That hustle harder mentality. Work longer hours, get up at 4 a.m. But you know what? I want you to try telling a parent who's been up 3 or 4 times with a sick child to just get up earlier. Yeah, I can hear you laughing right now. Some of you have done it. I have too. And if you do get up earlier after being up 3 or 4 times with a sick child, how functional are you? How focused can you be? You can't. So that's when I realized something crucial. My parent entrepreneurs don't need more motivation. They need better strategies. They don't need more hours in the day. They need smarter systems for the hours they already have, most of which are pretty booked up, pretty solid. This realization is what led to the development of frameworks like the Stable Framework, which we just wrapped up our series on. If you haven't heard that, please go back 3 episodes because I break it down into bite-sized chunks, giving you 2 bits every single time so you don't have to spend an hour or so listening. Right? I'm trying to be flexible within your small time chunks. But Stable wasn't created in some fancy strategy session. Nope.
The Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
Nope. It was born, as I tell you about inside the actual episodes themselves, from a mom who was wanting to create something inside, and what she was doing wasn't working. So we created a structure for her. And here's the thing I want you to remember. The success of the Stable Framework shows us that structure beats struggle every single time. I want you to hear that again. Structure beats struggle every single time. So what I stopped saying is, here's what you should do. And I started saying, here's how you can do it between soccer practice and science projects, between breakfast prep and nap time. Because let's be honest, knowing what to do is not the problem. I think most of you know what to do. It's finding a way to fit it into a life that's already packed with a shit ton of parent responsibilities. There's a shit ton of work responsibilities. Most of you are doing a 9 to 5. That's the real challenge. So our content became hyper-focused on practical implementation. We developed what we now call time pocket strategies. And we give them different names. You know, there's like your morning routine where you can do content creation. There's the carpool line market research process. There's the homework time email pocket of time. And then there's that bedtime automation setup time. These little pockets of time that you have as a parent that you could do these little pieces of your business. Okay. But I think perhaps the biggest shift came in how I approached teaching digital marketing. Instead of fighting against family life, I started integrating into it. The messy background in your videos, That's not unprofessional. That's relatable. When I first started this podcast, I used to use either a blank wall or one of those Zoom green screens behind me and put nice visual behind me. I was recording in the home we used to live into what was the room known as my Kiss room, because I had all my Kiss collection, my 2 Kiss pinball machines. I didn't show that. I didn't show that authentic part of me. Now, if you look, follow us on YouTube and check out the videos, you'll see part of my Kiss collection behind me. You'll see one of the big books I've written. You'll see my airborne flag. You'll see the wood paneling on the wall and everything else is going on. You'll see I still haven't hung up one of the framed Oriental phrases hanging behind me. Well, sitting on the floor behind me. It's messy, but it's authentic. It's not unprofessional. It's relatable. You get it. You understand. Those kid interruptions that you're going to have during your live stream, that's not a mistake. That's authenticity. I don't have that. My kids are grown up now. But should my dog bark, you'll hear it. Should my daughter, who still lives with us, come down here and interrupt, we'll leave most of it in. If it gets into a conversation, yeah, of course, I'm going to cut that out. But you feel me? It is what it is. If my cat jumps up on my lap while I'm recording right now, you'll hear the purring. You'll hear the meows. I'll leave it in the video. That's not a mistake. That's authenticity. I've learned from the community that most successful parent entrepreneurs don't succeed despite their family responsibilities. They succeed because of them. And here's what I mean. Every parent skill that you have is actually a business skill, just hiding behind a mask. Do you manage multiple schedules? If you're a parent, yes, you do. You got yours, you got your kids. Sometimes you've got your kids' friends' schedules you've got to integrate. And managing multiple schedules, project management. Do you handle tantrums? I don't care how old your kid is. Sometimes tantrums happen. That is crisis management. Do you teach new skills to your children? You'll probably be doing that the rest of your life as a parent. That's course creation. Are you running a household? Well, that's systems building, huh? See, the evolution wasn't just about changing the content. It was about changing the conversation around what's possible for my parent entrepreneurs out there. I wanted them to stop apologizing for being parents while building a business and start celebrating being a parent while building a business, because they should. And you know what? I think the results kind of speak for themselves. The community members, they aren't just building successful businesses. They're building businesses that actually work within the fabric of their life, not against it. They're not going against the grain anymore. Things are kind of meshing together. They're creating legacies their kids can be proud of. Heck, their kids might even continue after the parents have moved on. And they're doing it without missing any of those important moments. After 500 episodes, ladies and gentlemen, again, 499 episodes plus this one, there's some lessons that keep proving themselves true over and over again. Let me share the biggest ones that could possibly transform your entrepreneurial journey. First, let's talk about niching down. And you want to know how I know this works? Because I lived it. Yeah. When I stopped serving everyone and focused specifically on parent entrepreneurs building digital businesses, that's when things started to change. The downloads increased, the engagement increased, and more importantly, the impact deepened. I stopped going a mile wide and an inch deep and started going an inch wide so I could go a mile deep. And here's the truth. When you speak to everyone with your bullhorn on your porch, just yelling into the crowd, you connect with no one. But when you speak directly to your tribe, that's when the magic starts to happen. Okay? Secondly, authenticity, my friends, is not just a buzzword. It is your secret weapon. Remember when some of you used to apologize for the kids making noise in the background, right? Maybe you're on a Zoom call, or you're on a conference call on the phone, or maybe someone had to come over and there was toys in the living room and you apologized. Yeah. Stop apologizing for it. Celebrate it. No, don't make a crazy mess about it. But here's what I've learned. Your mess is your message, and your message is in your mess. Your real life, with all of its chaos and all of its complications, that's exactly what makes you relatable. That's exactly what makes you trustworthy. And ultimately, that's exactly what's going to make you successful. Number 3, and this one, I think this one still amazes me every single day, the power of community. And that power of community is absolutely unstoppable. I've watched members of the Dark Horse family tribe support each other, challenge each other, and celebrate each other's wins. When one parent entrepreneur figures out how to automate their business in a short period of time, like nap time, they share it with everyone else. And so it becomes not just a community, it's really more of a revolution.
The Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
Where we're like, wow, things actually can work for us. And number 4, and this one's crucial, all the strategy in the world means nothing without practical implementation. And that's why I've become completely obsessed with what I call parent-size pieces strategies. These are the ones that you can implement inside those little pockets of time that we've talked about earlier at lunchtime, and a small piece in the morning, and a small piece in the evening, and maybe a small piece as you're doing something else. Because let's be honest, a 12-step, 1 hour per step launch process doesn't help if you cannot find 12 uninterrupted hours in which to implement it. It'll never happen. Heck, you probably won't even finish the course, let alone implement the launch itself. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, we learned that balance isn't about equal time on either side. It's about intentional impact. It's not about choosing between family and business. It's about building a business that enhances your family life and a family life that can enhance your business, not compete with it. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to realize these are not just lessons. They're the foundation of everything we're going to do here at the Dark Horse Entrepreneur. They're the reason we've been able to help so many parents build successful digital businesses without sacrificing their most important role, being there for their family. Okay? Now, as I start to wrap up this 500th episode, I want to take a moment and speak directly to you, my Dark Horse friends and family. Whether you've been here since episode 1 or this is your first time listening, you are the reason this podcast exists. And you know, it's kind of funny. I started this podcast thinking I would be the one doing all the teaching, but over 500 episodes, this one included, I think you've taught me more than I could have ever imagined. Your comments, your emails, your success stories, your struggles, they've all shaped everything I do here. When you message me about listening while folding laundry, or listening while working out, or listening while walking the dog, doing the dishes, babysitting, bouncing that kid on your knee, it has taught me to make my content more actionable within those small blocks of time, within those margins of your life. When you shared your wins in the community or via an email, it showed the power of celebrating progress over the power of perfection. When you told me about implementing one of our strategies during a dinner prep or a soccer practice or whatever practice your kids happen to be on, it reminded me why practical matters over perfect. So, looking ahead, I am even more excited about where I think we're heading. I'm developing new frameworks specifically, again, for my parent entrepreneurs. Again, if you're not a parent entrepreneur, you'll still benefit from them. You can still build things in the margins of your lives. You'll just have a little bit more time to do it, I think. But we're creating more resources that work within a busy schedule. We're building a stronger community where parent entrepreneurs can support one another. My commitment to you remains completely unchanged. No, check that. That's not true. My commitment to you is stronger than ever. I will continue to be the voice that says you don't have to choose between family and success. I'm going to keep creating strategies that work in the real world of parenting. I'm going to keep celebrating your wins. I'm going to keep supporting through all the struggles and providing the practical tools that you need to succeed. For the next 500 episodes and beyond, I think I'm going to double down on what matters most, helping parent entrepreneurs build digital businesses and create both freedom and legacy, because that's what being a dark horse is all about. It's not just defying the odds, but rewriting the rules entirely. Ladies and gentlemen, again, the whole purpose of this episode is to thank you for being a part of the journey, to thank you for trusting me with your time, with your dreams, and with your entrepreneurial journey. Here's to the next 500 episodes of turning parent chaos into profitable empires, one nap time at a time. I want you to remember you're not just building a business. You, my friend, are showing your kids what's possible. And that, my friends, is the greatest story of all. Okay? Now, before you depart into your busy day, it's time for today's Whiskered Wisdom. And this one comes straight from the heart after 500 episodes of learning and growing together. Here's your Whiskered Wisdom for today. The same persistence that got me to 500 episodes is exactly what you need for your entrepreneurial journey. Start before you're ready, pivot when necessary, but never stop moving forward. You see, success isn't about having that perfect plan. It's about taking imperfect action consistently. Just like I've done on this podcast, your journey might start one way and evolve and bob and weave into something even better you ever imagined. If you're ready to start that journey together with me, with us here, there's something I need you to do right now. I want you to go ahead and join the Dark Horse Insider. That's our free weekly newsletter where I share the very best of what we've learned over 500 episodes and beyond about building successful digital businesses while raising a family. This isn't just another digital marketing newsletter. It's 5+ years of proven, tested strategies distilled into actionable steps that you can implement between soccer practice and bedtime stories and breakfast and everything else. So here's what you got to do. Go on over to darkhorseinsider.com or click the link down in the show notes and join our community of parent entrepreneurs who are redefining what's possible. Oh, and don't forget, members of the Dark Horse Insider get first crack and early adopter pricing of all the products coming out of the Dark Horse Entrepreneur. Like my book that's about to drop, the Dark Horse Success Atlas, how you can build your empire in the margins of your life. Insiders will be able to get a copy of that for 99 cents during the first week of publication. So if nothing else, that's a great reason to sign up right there. Ladies and gentlemen, as we close this milestone episode, I want you to remember this. Being a dark horse isn't about having advantages. It's about creating them. It's about taking what others see as limitations, like being a busy parent, and turning it into your unique edge, your unique advantage. That's what I've done for 500 episodes, and that's what I'm going to continue to do with you here together. Until next time, think successfully and take action.
Hey, my Dark Horse entrepreneurs, thanks for investing your precious time with us today. I know that between soccer practice and bedtime stories, every single minute counts. And that's exactly why I created the Dark Horse Insider, your weekly dose of digital marketing strategies, all designed specifically for my busy entrepreneurs, especially my busy parent entrepreneurs. If you're ready to turn those small pockets of time into profitable momentum, head on over to darkhorseinsider.com. darkhorseinsider.com and join our free newsletter, because we Dark Horses do not just run the race, we change how the race is won. Until next time, think successfully and take action. Dark Horse Insider.